make sure to get those to you when you're ready to ask a question, and I will acknowledge you. Joining us on stage, student athletes from Virginia Tech. To my right, Taylor Soule and Elizabeth Kitley and Georgia Amore, who were named All-Americans this week. We'll open up the floor for questions. Mark, here in the front.
Hi, Mark Berman, the Roanoke Times. For the players, for the last few years, this has been the goal, not a one seed, but to get to host in the NCAA tournament. What does it mean to have accomplished this goal, and have you started to kind of visualize what it might be like tomorrow to be playing in front of a full house at Castle for this NCAA tournament?
We'll start with Georgia Cross.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it because obviously Castle's sold out, and to have that type of crowd for any women's event is absolutely incredible. But obviously hosting was the goal, and I'm glad that we achieved that. But in the grand scheme of things, like, we still have a lot more to try and achieve.
Yeah, I think hopefully we can just carry over the momentum that we had at the end of the regular season, because we had a lot of support from Hokies fans. So hopefully, like she said, like, it's sold out, so hopefully everyone will show up and it'll be a really cool environment.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. So this is like my first tournament experience at all, really, and so to do it with a great team, I'm excited, and to have the opportunity to play in front of great fans. So I'm excited for tomorrow.
Back here to Mark.
Georgia, just to follow up, in the grand scheme of things, what more are you already thinking about there?
Winning games in the tournament. Like, we're here. That's an accomplishment, but we want to win too, some games.
This team hasn't been in the Sweet 16 in many, many years. That was kind of the goal for a while, to get to the Sweet 16. Now that you're the one seed, though, are you thinking bigger? Are you thinking Final Four? Or, how are you guys kind of looking at yourselves now that you have the high expectations of a one seed?
Let's start with Taylor.
I think that our expectations for ourselves are through the roof. I know how I feel. I know how they feel. And we want to compete for a national championship. That's why we put the work in over the summer. That's why we compete now. And although our goal was to win an ACC championship in XYZ, it's to win games, to prove people wrong, and to prove ourselves right that we are a great basketball team and we can compete with the best in the country.
Elizabeth?
Yeah, I agree with what Taylor said. Obviously, we do have really high expectations for ourselves, because we know how good we can be, and just the strides we've made over the past few months have been incredible. So we just hope that takes us as deep as we can. But obviously, yeah, we did originally talk as our goal being the Sweet 16 and everything. So, just because that's our goal doesn't mean, once we get there, we will be looking to go further.
Georgia.
They covered it pretty well.
To the back.
Hello, Ian Sachs, KELOLAND Sports. Really, for any of you, what would you say have been the keys to success for this team all season long to claim this number one seed?
I would say the keys to our success have been our defense and our confidence and our willingness to be selfless and kind of just encourage each other. Whether it's Georgia having 20 points tonight, Liz, whoever it is, we just want what's best for the team, and it's shown in positive ways throughout the season, and that's what makes playing with them really fun.
I think it's been also our ability to grow throughout the season. I think we've started to click at the right time. Obviously, being on this winning streak going into this time of year is awesome. So I think that momentum definitely helped us and will hopefully help us throughout the next few games.
Yeah, just an unselfish group, and clicking on all cylinders really at the best time. I think earlier in the year, our defense wasn't really quite there, and I think that's why we had some close games and some losses. Figured that out, though, and now looking pretty good.
To the front.
Yeah, David Cunningham, Tech Sideline. Georgia, we talked a little bit after the selection show about what it's going to be like to play a team that runs similar stuff to you. What, when you guys have watched film the last couple of days, what stood out to you about this Chattanooga team, and what are you guys expecting going into tomorrow afternoon?
Yeah, they definitely have their go-to players. And, just like our offense, our plays have someone to go to or go through. But, it's nothing without being funny, it's nothing we haven't guarded before. And we watched Scout and practiced it. And really, up to us, it's just that we just don't fall asleep or just don't get too comfortable playing against it, because that is the point of a lot of our offenses, is to lull you asleep and then attack. So probably the same philosophy.
Andrew Webb with WDVJ7. There's still a lot of work to be done for you guys to say, but when you look back on this team, there'll be banners hanging. What do you want people to remember about this group of women?
Start with Taylor.
I think what I want people to remember about this group is I think that we're great basketball players, but we're great people, and we got the success that we've had this year by doing the right things at the right times. I think you can have great teams that don't have chemistry. You can have great teams that don't want what's best for the team, but this team genuinely wants people to succeed, for the program, for the community, for the people to the right and left of them. And I think that's what makes this group different from other teams that I've been on. And that's what I think is going to make this team one to remember.
We're going to take a question via Zoom here from Hank Kurtz of the Associated Press.
Elizabeth, what's it been like to go through this with your sister?
I mean, it's been really cool. I think, she's gotten a lot of attention lately, which she loves. But it's just nice to have awareness brought to her and just autism in general and family relationships. So, she'll definitely be here cheering on, as she always is. And hopefully we can make her proud and happy.
Autism awareness?
Hank's question was about being a champion for autism awareness.
What about?
Hank, can you repeat the question for us, please?
Yeah, is there some part of you, Liz, that feels like kind of a champion of autism awareness and, just kind of celebrating all she brings to your life?
Yeah, that's a nice title. I guess I could start using that. I mean, I hope that it is seen that way, I guess. I just want any recognition to be given to her that is possible, or any awareness to be spread that can be. So I think media and Virginia Tech has done a great job of kind of not advertising, but getting that information out there. And it's really cool to see people love it as much as our program does and my family does.
To the front.
Yeah, David Cunningham, Tech Sideline. Taylor, you said this is your first opportunity to play on this kind of stage. What does it mean to you, and how excited are you to get out and play in front of a sold-out crowd in Castle, and to think of where you were, in high school to where you are now? What does it all mean to you?
Yeah, no, it definitely means a lot. It's why I came back. And for me, the COVID year was definitely a blessing. I was literally thinking the other day, I was crying because I was I don't want to leave. These girls are ready, so hopefully we can play as long as we can. But it's awesome. I'm blessed to be here. I'm excited. I'm having fun playing basketball, and that's what it's all about. And so can't complain.
Taylor, earlier you had said here about looking to prove people wrong. Who are you looking to prove wrong?
They know who they are. They know.
You mean about all during the season, you mean, or just now, you mean, or what were you?
I think just in general. I think wherever you are, whoever you are, not everyone's gonna like you. Everyone's gonna have an opinion. Think you can't do stuff, but I think what's given us so much success is we don't really care what the outside people have to say. The people on the team and the program trust and understand the hard work that we've put in and believe in us, and so that's all that really matters going down the stretch.
For the players, some outside people, even President Obama, have you going to the Final Four. What are you feeling? Are you feeling any pressure as a 1 seed to kind of, okay, you're a 1 seed now, people are expecting you to live up to that?
Really just can't look too far ahead. It really is game by game, and that's cliche, but it is March, and that literally is what it is. So I haven't really been looking past literally Chattanooga.
I think our experience last year definitely helped us probably learn, as painful as it was, but losing in the first round in the 5-12 matchup, I think just opened our eyes because we know that we can't overlook any game. Every team is in this tournament because they're good, talented, and they can win. So we just have to be ready game by game and just take it slow.
I agree. Yeah. 10 minutes at a time.
Any other questions for the student athletes?
This one's for Elizabeth. You've averaged about 18 points a game each of the last 3 years now. What's been the difference this year, or have you noticed a difference this year, and if so, what is it?
I don't know. I think with each year, there's different players around me, so that makes the scoring different. Like having Taylor Soule this year, she's just brings a whole completely different force on the inside. Georgia's been shooting the ball so well, so that opens up other looks too. Yeah, I don't know if it's like a specific thing, but just having different teammates every year, we run different stuff, or defenses play us differently, so that just leads to different offense.
One more here.
For any of you, when you watched the Chattanooga film this week, because Sean Poppy said he brought so many plays with him from Blacksburg. So when you watch the film this week, are you like, okay, they're running that play, so we need to. I know exactly where I need to be on defense, and vice versa. What's it been like as you watch the Chattanooga film in terms of recognition?
We'll start with Georgia.
I mean, in theory, it's like similar actions, but it's not really the same play. Like, we have very different players. I think, we have Liz, and like their main score is a 4, so that's like very, very different. So very similar actions. I think the gist of the plays is similar, but he's not gonna copy and paste a lot of things because
He's
smart.
to his team.
He's smart. He's a very self-aware man. He has his own flair. But also we can't just assume that we know it, because if we assume that we know the plays, then obviously he has his adjustments, and I'm sure going into the tournament he's probably adding more. But it's not copy and paste to say.
Any other questions for the student athletes? Taylor, Elizabeth, Georgia, thank you. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you all.
Just a reminder that these press conferences can be downloaded at the NCAA Media Hub. That is ncaa.veritone.com. Head coach Kenny Brooks of the Hokies up next. Have a seat. We are pleased to be joined by Virginia Tech head coach Kenny Brooks. The Hokies, a #1 seed, and set for action tomorrow against Chattanooga. We'll open up the floor for questions for Kenny. Start with Mark in the front.
Kenny, have you and Sean been talking a lot this week, or have you gone to cone of silence this week with you guys playing?
No, we'll never go silent except for the 40 minutes when we start tipping it up. But no, just I'm very proud of him and what he's done, what he's accomplished in a very short time. Being able to dive into his team a little bit further and just see what they've actually done, what they've created there. Very happy for him. He actually came to the office yesterday, and it was really weird seeing him. He walked in his old office, and it was kind of weird seeing him walk the halls. But no, very happy for him. We'll always continue to talk, be supportive. He's got a lot going on in his personal life. He's about to have another baby, and so a lot to talk about. But always will be friends for life.
I guess they used the practice. Their team used the practice facility yesterday, right?
Yeah.
All the other teams do too, I guess.
I don't know. I went home, Mark.
When you've been watching Chattanooga film this week, is it a lot of recognition of, okay, yeah, he brought that play with him, so I know what we need to do on defense, and vice versa, I guess? Or?
Yeah, it's very similar, and we knew it was going to be similar. Obviously we talked throughout the year, and he talked about things that he brought with him. And it's not the same plays, but it's a lot of the same actions and how you finish a play, how they're going to get the basketball to certain people. Very, very similar. And so, we've been going over it a little bit, and kids are very familiar with it, almost to the point where we don't want them to be too familiar with it because, we anticipate a wrinkle or two here or there. We just want to be able to play basketball, but very, very similar. Styles are similar. The way that he's constructed his team is almost similar. So it's a good first matchup because just we understand what they're trying to do. And a lot of times when you step outside of the ACC, we played 21 straight ACC games, and then now it's stepping out of it again, and so it's a good opponent to go and have some familiarity with.
Kenny, for the last few years now, this has been the goal: hosting, not a one seed, but just to be able to host the first two rounds. What does it mean to you to have accomplished this goal, and what's it going to mean if play in front of presumably a packed house tomorrow?
Well, it means a lot to our program. Obviously, when you're trying to build it, you have to dream it, before it can come to fruition. And I've had a lot of time to sit back, reflect on where we were, how we got to this point. One of the things I thought was pretty neat is that I think, you might have to double check my memory, but I think it was 2018. We went to the finals of the WNIT, and we played Indiana, and we were both. Terry Moran is a really good friend of mine. I admire her. I have like a coaching crush on her, the way that she's run her program, and for us too. Trying to take programs to a different level, and we got to the championship game, and I remember we played in Assembly Hall, and it was, I think, the biggest crowd at that point that they'd ever had. And to fast forward 5 years, and both of us are number one seeds, it goes to show you the importance of postseason and learning how to win. And we've always won since I've been here, but we've not always won the right games. And that's what we really turned our attention to. Yeah, we can win 20 games, but we want to win, 14 of those in the ACC. And that's where our programs come to, and the way the kids walk out and their expectations. We used to hope to win, and now we expect to win. And I think that's a big difference when you get to this level, and when you've accomplished something. And I'm not going to sit here and downplay it. That's an accomplishment, getting a number one seed. I had as many chills and a blackout moment when our name came up there as a number one seed as I did 3 years ago when they announced us back into the tournament for the first time in 10 or so years. And so major accomplishment, very proud of our kids. We celebrated it, we embraced it, and we put it away, and now it's time to go out there and represent that number one seed. And we know people are going to come after us. We know people are going to doubt us. We know people say that maybe we shouldn't have got it, but we also know that there's a lot of people who said we should have gotten it. And so it really doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It matters what we think, and we just need to go out and prepare.
To the back.
Coach Ian Sachs, Kellan Sports. You mentioned the importance of getting to that WNIT final a couple years ago. You have South Dakota State, who won the WNIT in your region right here. How much does that pose a problem for you, that this is a veteran team that has postseason experience from just a year ago?
Well, we're in a weird. It's like the twilight zone right now because it seems like everybody that you play is old. You know, obviously COVID giving everybody an extra year. You run into so many teams that are so experienced, and you know, Aaron does a tremendous job with his program. First time I think I ever encountered Aaron, his program, we were in Cancun when I was at James Madison. And I'll be honest, I didn't know what a jackrabbit was, but after I watched them play and we experienced playing against them, you walked away and you knew that that was a very well-coached basketball team who understood the assignment and that they were going to come out and play. And, you know, I've always been a fan of that, not wanting to play against it, but, you know, the way that they play basketball. So, you know, after the euphoria, you know, left us a little bit after, you know, being a number one seed, and then you start looking forward, you know, if you're fortunate enough to get past the first round, who would you have to play in the second round? And I kind of joked about the NCAA having a sick sense of humor, putting me up against Poppy, but then it's also two contrasting styles in the games that we're going to have to play if we're fortunate enough to get to the second round. Because South Dakota State, they play a totally different brand of basketball than Southern California. And so it's just, but that's what the tournament's all about. It's what it's all about. It's about matchups. You don't know who you're going to play next. You get to that opportunity. The games are not played on paper, and that's what makes it fun for the fans, the fan base, and that's why it's called March Madness. And as a number one seed, we just have to try to prevent any kind of madness going on. But it's going to be a hard task because we know how good all the teams are that will be here in Blacksburg are right now.
We're going to take a question via Zoom. This is from Hank Kurtz of the Associated Press. As soon as he can be unmuted.
Hey, Hank. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Hank, you can go ahead and ask your question. Can you repeat that for us, please? Try it again, Hank.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Kenny, as the father of girls, you know, the relationship that your team has with Liz and Raven
Yeah.
seems like something really special. Kind of reflect on that a little bit, if you would, for me.
Well, first and foremost, yeah, it's genuine. Raven's a big part of our program, always has been. The first time that I met her when she came on a visit, she stole the show. And I know it's been well documented how we incorporated her into the whole process, but it was all genuine. And, you know, just, you know, my first year out of college, I worked at a Woodrow Wilson Rehab Center, and I was able to interact with, you know, people with disabilities, you know, all kinds of situations, and it was one of the best years I ever had in my life because everyone that I encountered, you know, regardless of what the outside world thought of them, they were very happy, and I think that they just really blessed this world. And for me, you know, I've always been, you know, willing and able to, you know, just get to learn, you know, anyone and everyone, regardless of what their situation is. My daughters, you talked about being a father of daughters, at their high school, at Spotswood High School, their coach, Chris Dodson, is a special ed teacher, and they would go to his classes and help interact with all the young people in his classes. So it's always been something near and dear to my heart. And when Raven came in here, she just captured not only my heart, but the whole program's heart. And getting to know her on a personal basis. And, you know, to this day, I mean, she probably will text me maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And the texts are so innocent, and it could be about fidget spinners or, you know, what she's doing that day, and it always puts a big smile on my face. So I think us really just getting to know her, I think it really opened up, you know, Liz's thought process and what she wanted, because Raven is obviously Liz's hero, and just watching them interact, it's a thing of beauty, the patience, the sisterhood that they have with that whole situation. And we knew we were in good shape with Liz. I remember I was in Atlanta, and I was watching Liz play an AAU tournament. It was about 25 coaches on the baseline. And Raven was at the game, and she was going to the bathroom. And I remember she ran past all the coaches, and she took like 2 or 3 steps past me. And she put the brakes on, and she backed up, and she said, "Hi, Coach Brooks." And she waved at me, and she took off. And all the other coaches were like, who is that? And I'm like, yeah, we're in good shape with Liz. So, but it's a special relationship. I love her to death. We had the autism awareness game a couple years ago, and we gave out sweatshirts and T-shirts. And I had Raven sign my sweatshirt, and I got it framed, and it's in my office hanging up. That's the only jersey that's in my office, and that's how special she is to us.
To the back.
Coach, they say if you build it, they will come. Can you walk me through the emotions on Monday as tickets were flying and eventually sold out in a crazy amount of time?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Monday was a blur. Obviously, again, the euphoria of hosting and being a number one seed. And I've been screaming it from the mountaintop since I've been here. We play a really good brand of basketball that's very exciting. It's fun to watch. So all we need people to do is come in the gym, experience it, and they'll come back. And Virginia Tech is a special place. The fan base is second to none. They come out and they support so much. And we watch it firsthand with our men. And the girls come and they watch. They watch a sellout crowd. And then, we've been slowly building our crowds. And this year's been phenomenal because Hokie Nation has made a good team, a great team. The atmosphere in here is second to none. It's loud. You don't only hear people, you feel them. And so when tickets went on sale on Monday, and I think they sold out within an hour, I referenced it to being like we're the Beatles. And it's probably a really bad reference because my kids don't know who the Beatles are. I probably should have said like Taylor Swift or something, and they probably would have gotten it. But it's just remarkable the way Hokie Nation has come and represent it, and they're going to be able to show out for our kids. And that's special to me, and as it was stated earlier, I'm a father of 3 daughters. I've been coaching women's basketball for 20-some years, always championing for the opportunities for them to get what they deserve. And things might not always be equal, but we want them to be fair. And for our kids to be able to experience this, that's going to be an accomplishment in itself for me, because I know how hard they work and they deserve opportunities like this. So I'm gonna again, like we celebrated the championship trophy. The biggest moment for me was watching them enjoy it. And a big moment for me, tomorrow, and hopefully, if we're fortunate enough to get past tomorrow and then Sunday, will be to watch them experience something so special.
Right here.
Andrew Webb with WDBJ7. Kenny, when you look back on this group, I know there's still work to be done, but there's banners hanging in Castle, things from this team. What do you want people to remember or take away from this group?
I just don't want you to take them for granted. Elizabeth Kitley is we've never had an All-American here. Now she's a 2-time All-American. And sometimes you don't get bored with it, but you just expect her to, get her ho-hum 20 and 10. And I want everyone to realize it. Georgia Amoore is going to be one of the best players to ever play here. All right, don't take it for granted. Watch it, embrace it, celebrate it. And she was named honorable mention All-American the other day. It's kind of ironic for an Aussie, but they're special, and it doesn't stop there. Kayana Traylor is probably one of the most unselfish players that I've ever encountered, who gave up an opportunity to be an all Big Ten performer to come in here to win. And we won a championship, and she gave me a big hug, and she said, "This is why I came here." Taylor Soule, who was all ACC at Boston College, sacrifices enough to come here, elevate her game, and watch her tears of joy after we win a championship. It's what it's all about. So Hokie Nation is blessed to be able to be represented by these young ladies, and not only on the court, but in the classroom, in the community, and they represent extremely well. So there are going to be banners that are going to be hung. There's going to be a legacy that's going to be left. But I think the biggest thing is that we have tremendous young ladies representing our program.
2 more questions, one here and then one here.
David Cunningham, Tech Sideline. Kenny, when Sean was here, I know it's probably he did so much for you guys, but what specifically was his impact on your program? And to now be coaching against him in his first NCAA tournament, what is that going to mean to you, and how have you kind of embraced that, I guess?
Sean wore many hats here, which was, great for me. If I needed him to be good cop, he was good cop. If I needed him to be bad cop, he was bad cop, which allowed me to be good cop. Later on in his career, I gave him more and more responsibilities. that was going to help prepare him for his next opportunity. And that's how much I relied on him. It's how much I trusted him. He has a great basketball mind. Our minds really work together extremely well together. And he was just loyal. I mean, extremely loyal to the vision, loyal to the way that we were going to get it done. So much so, I know he believed in it so much that I see him, duplicating it, the same thing, at a different level with Chattanooga. And but I don't think we would have gotten to this point without his loyalty and his dedication, his ability to just really dive in and make us better. And I'll always be appreciative, as I know he will, for the things that I did for him. But true friend. But he's a big part. He's a big part of our success, and as we continue on, because he's done a tremendous job for us.
Last question.
Kenny, to follow up on something you said earlier here, you said you talked about wanting to prevent the madness as you've got the March Madness behind you. What was kind of your message to your team about that? Because obviously you are a 1 seed. People expect you to get past this weekend, but there are 3 other teams here.
Yeah, I mean, and 3 very good basketball teams, and we know that. We understand that, and they haven't gotten caught up in, the brackets or who's here, who do you play next, what do you do here and there. They understand that, it's one game at a time. We've been in this mode probably for about a month and a half. Just worry about the next game, but also worried about ourselves. We put ourselves in position that we're good enough that if we take care of what we're supposed to do and we handle things the way we're supposed to do it, we give ourselves a tremendous chance to win. We don't need a lot of help from the outside. We don't need somebody to have a bad game. We can kind of dictate what's going to kind of go on. And that's been a beauty of where we are. And that kind of comes with the expectation. Instead of hoping to win, we expect to win. And if we know we go out and take care of what we're supposed to take care of, we give us a chance to win. But this is why you're playing right now. This is why the excitement, this is why the juices are flowing. Because anything can happen. They're going to watch TV, and soon enough they're going to be upsets all over the place, and that's why we play the games. But they're fortunate. They're happy to be a part of it, and they understand that they have an opportunity to build on their legacy. But they also have an understand that they don't come to play well. Stranger things have happened. But this group is really locked in. They're focused. I've mentioned it several times. I've never had a group this connected. And it's because, as we talked about earlier, they're all old. I'm looking at them, and their bones are creaking. Some of them are 23 years old, and that just doesn't happen. COVID made it possible, but sooner or later, things will go back to normal where you have younger kids, but we have older kids now, and they understand the assignment.
Coach Brooks, thanks for your time. Best of luck with your team tomorrow.
Thank you, guys. You know what? How about that?